All right, in this segment, we're going to show you how to shoot a particular room for a PCR, a property condition report. And to do that, we're going to take 6 still shots. Now, what do I mean by still shots? We're not going to use the camera function. We're going to actually use the video and roll it the whole time. But I want you to have in your mind's eye the mental image that I'm going to take 6 still shots of the room. When you're done doing what I'm about to teach you, we can go back and take a still photograph from your video to document anything that you need us to document. So let me show you a few different rooms. We'll start with the main living area room, then we'll do a hallway, a bedroom, and a bathroom, and you'll get an idea how to shoot each room, okay? So here's a living room. If I wanted to document the condition of this room, usually I would walk into the front door, and so the first thing I would do is come inside and say, okay, now I'm inside. Let's begin our interior video from here. And what I might do is pick 2 different diagonal opposing corners of the room, whether it's these 2 or these 2, and then take your 6 shots while the video is rolling. All right, so I'll give you an example. Okay, so this is the living room, ceiling, 2, 3, walls, 2, 3, floors, 2, 3. Now, I will have gotten more than 50% of the room in those 3 shots, and I will walk to the other side of the room and do the same thing. Here's the condition of the ceiling, 2, 3, walls, 2, 3, floors, 2, 3. Between those 6 still shots that I took, we covered pretty much everything we need to. Now, the one other technique you want to use is when you're walking around a room, that's when you actually isolate the damages. And in another segment, we'll show you how to isolate damage and illustrate those. For now, I'm going to show you how to do a hallway. Okay? So if I were coming up to a hallway, same thing. You'd want to make sure you get ceiling, 2, 3, walls, 2, 3, and floors. And then as I walk to the other side, before I do another room, I turn and do the same thing. All right, now the hallway is done. When the camera is pointing down, I swing it around and start in the other room. We don't like people getting seasick watching our videos. So let's do them the favor of not be doing all of this all the time and going from the up to the down. If you end a room in the up position, you can start the next room in the up position. It's just a natural flow. So we'll say, here's the condition of the ceilings in the master. Walls, 2, 3, floors, 2, 3. Now I got the master suite. I'll do the same thing. I'll walk to the other side, and I've noted some of the deficiencies along the way, which I'll show you in a different clip. Ceiling, 2, 3, walls, 2, 3, floors, 2, 3. Now let's take a look at a bathroom. A bathroom's a little more challenging because it's kind of hard to get all of the bathroom from 6 shots. So sometimes you have to say, okay, here's the ceiling, 2, 3, walls, 2, 3, floors, and then go in and start doing the individual fixtures, okay? However, you might need to, again, do it the same way this way because it's just a lot of, small rooms are kind of hard to get the same way that a large room is done. So you just want to get a series of still shots in each room the best you can, then move on to doing individual fixtures and the condition of the appliances, or etc. So that's how you shoot a room, and I think you guys have got it. Okay, now I'm going to show you a very important technique that really is at the heart of an effective PCR or an exit inspection video, and that is the ability to isolate defects and really document defects, whether they're pre-existing or whether they're caused by a tenant, that you're making a claim on their final bond, okay? So to do that, I'm gonna show you a combination of effects using not only my camera, but our cameraman is gonna kind of illustrate the point as well, so that you guys really get how important it is to show these defects as closely and steadily as you can using your camera. So I've picked a couple of defects here in the house, which I'll show you. So if I were coming in here and I did my walls, my ceilings, walls, floors. Now I'm going to walk around the room to the other side, and I noticed there's a nail hole in the wall with a scratch mark on it. Now if I point that out from here, it's barely visible. It's like a fly speck, all right? And you know that because you can hardly see it from where you are. So the technique I want you guys to make sure you do is to, as you're walking around, you want to almost rest the lens on the wall because it steadies what you're showing, and say there is a hole in the wall here with a scratch mark. Now you go ahead and put it up that close too, Mr. Cameraman, and rest the lens on the corner. And when you rest the lens, you literally steady the shot so that we can get a still shot from that if we need it for you, okay? Now the other thing about it is, did you notice that when we got that close to it, it almost looked like a crater on the surface of the moon? And if you were getting into a discussion with a resident about a claim you're making on their bond, the closer and more steadily that you illustrate the damages, the more likely you are to get no fight over your bond claim. And that's what this is all about. So here's another example. This floor is in bad shape. Now if I'm pointing at the floor and I'm saying it from here, you can't see the dirt on this floor. So that's why you have to take a knee and show what you're trying to show, literally as close as you can and steady. Now if you wanted to touch it to the floor, you could as well. I'll let the cameraman kind of do the same thing. Take a knee there, get real close. And that's the technique that we're after. And don't move it a lot. Just pick some of the dirt, show it for 3 seconds and move on. Now here's another very common illustration. Underneath the bar area on the paint here, there's all sorts of scratches and marks, and there's a crayon mark on the wall. And these are things we don't call crayons normal wear and tear. We call that something that shouldn't be on the wall. And we make claims for that. And so as a result, let me show you again, if we're here pointing at the wall, you can't see the damage. So when you're pointing at it, you want to say, here's an actual dent, a gouge in the drywall that has to be filled. Here's a crayon mark. There's multiple scratches right here. There's also some marks there, more scratches from furnishings here. So if you get within about a foot of large, wide areas of damage with your camera and count to 3 on each one and then move on, that's a great way to document damages. So remember, get up close as you can, hold it still for 3 seconds, move on. Thanks for watching. Okay, so I'm standing in front of the property and we're going to do our PCR introduction with the 5 W's. Each segment, each clip that we shoot, we want to properly introduce. And the 5 W's are who, what, when, why, and where. So let's show you what that means, okay? You record and you say, this is Todd Breen, there's your who. I'm standing at 3575 Dunes Road, that's your where. Today's date is October 2nd, 2012. That's your when. I'm about to do a PCR video for you. That is the what we're doing. And I'm documenting the condition of the property prior to move-in. That would be your why. And then go ahead and start filming. That makes it crystal clear if you ever had to reference the video or show it to a resident or show it to a magistrate, then that video is very clearly and well documented. So make sure that each clip, whether it's the interior, exterior, or the common areas or the bedrooms. Wherever you hit start, you want to begin with your 5 W's, and then when you finish, you want to try and end with your 5 W's the best you can as well. It's more important that you do it on the way in, and if you can remember to do it on the way out, that's a great way to end the video as well. Thanks. Okay, so now let's talk about the intro summary. Now, usually you're used to seeing a summary at the conclusion of something. We're going to make a summary at the beginning. So right after we do the 5 W's, a really good idea is to be able to summarize what you intend to show in the series of videos you're about to run. So what we're doing here is we're really saying a general summary of the condition of the property and any defects that we've noticed. Now, you don't have to go down the whole list. It's just the general items that we're going to be either communicating to an owner or a tenant, and make sure that they understand what we're about to show them. That way they'll look for those items while they watch the video. So an example would be that I would hit record and I would say something to the effect of, do my 5 W intro. In this video, I will show you the condition of the interior paint. It's going to need to be repainted. We've got some cleaning to do. We've got some maintenance to do to the exterior of the property. That's something the owner would be interested in. And we would talk about what those maintenance items are. For instance, over here, you know, the driveway needs to be resealed. The asphalt's starting to get broken up. So just a general summary of the condition of the property and the items that you're going to be illustrating. Real good idea. That's the intro summary. Okay, we're going to talk about what you talk about while you're showing a PCR. And when you're doing these types of videos, it's important to remember that we want to document but not evoke people to anger when they watch our videos. What do I mean by that? You could walk into a place and see something that's pretty gross, and you might want to comment on that. That's not necessarily a healthy thing to do in these videos. We want to create a final bond claim. We don't want to create a fight. So let me give you an example. Come on in the kitchen. When these folks moved out, we noticed a few things that weren't all that pleasant. So if I were pointing out, look at this, you know, it's all crummy and dirty. Look at the dead roach down there. See them? Why do they always go toes up in the kitchen? All right, there's fuzz over the plate, but this one's really gross, all right? Look at this. Can you guys see that? If I'm filming, all I would say is, hey, check out the cockroach droppings in the cabinetry. I would not say something like, oh, that's disgusting. Let the visual image say it's disgusting. You don't need to say that. So just speak in your narration objectively and professionally, and you want to announce each room that you're going in. And when you watch my full-length PCR videos being shot, you'll see how I narrate. We're wanting to communicate to the people who are watching your video, whether or not it's an owner, a tenant, or the person who's preparing your PCR report for you. All right, so now you understand how to narrate these videos. So now we're going to talk about how to close your videos. It's short and sweet. At the end of the video, you want to just say, okay, that concludes the exterior portion of the PCR video and give the address. And this is the first video, or that concludes the second video. All right, you're not sure whether it's going to be the second of 3 or the second of 4 because you haven't finished all the videos yet. And also, when you're concluding, you want to keep an eye on the timer, because if most cameras come with a timer, and while you're filming, if you see there's your seconds that are being displayed, you want to keep an eye on that, because if you start getting 13, 14 minutes, you want to wrap things up, because you might encounter difficulty uploading your video once it hits 15 minutes, depending on your status with YouTube. So let's try and wrap them up at 13 or 14 minutes or less, okay? Thanks.